Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Soulfullpreneur Talk Radio with your hosts Archelaus and Crandlemire. Merging spirituality and business on the Enlightenment Evolution Network.
Hi everybody, it's Archelaus here, and I'm with Crandlemire.
Hello.
We are Soulfullpreneur Talk Radio. And today we have something really cool. We're going to talk about what is like the first step toward satisfying that inner nudge to share yourself with the world, to help humanity, and, you know, how do you then turn that nudge into something that you can call your career or, you know, something that pays the bills. We're going to go through the stages of what that looks like with you today and, you know, really drill down into what it takes to put yourself out there, to start making money doing that, to even deal with yourself as you grow into that new person, because it's a journey. It's definitely a journey. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. We are taking callers, so you can call us at 347-308-8788. I've also opened up the chat. That should be open any second now, so you can ask us questions in there or have some comments for us, and we'll read them. So thanks for joining us. Let's see, what is the date today? It's October 21st, so we're really getting into fall here. It's coming. I'm going to miss it, not being in Connecticut.
Yeah, we're kind of past prime here in this area.
Wow, it happens so fast.
There's still leaves on the trees, but the super pretty, I think, is over.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was actually surprisingly good considering how dry the summer was on the East Coast. The colors were really good. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I still have some green trees here. I'm looking outside, and I've got lots of mountains, so it's just a different thing here. But thanks again for joining us. We are Soulfullpreneur Radio, but we're also part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. And if you want to know about all of our amazing shows, you can go to facebook.com/Enlightenment Evolution Network. And we're going to tell you about our upcoming shows on the network. So tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have Victoria Vive Swang, and she hosts Earth, Sky, People Radio, your bridge between heaven and earth. And she talks about living in oneness with one another, with Mother Earth, and with life beyond Earth.
And Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the Enlightenment Evolution Hour with Rob Garthier, and he started this Enlightenment Evolution Network. And he channels an entity named Treb, and they take callers' questions, and they often have special guests, such as other channelers and metaphysical teachers. And you can find out more about Treb at trebchanneling.com.
Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern is Philip Malika's Consciousness Evolution Hour. And he really drills into things from the perspective of the fifth dimension, so metaphysical topics, life, and so much more. And you can find him at facebook.com/groups/SethAbe. And you can also find him on YouTube.
Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the Earth Experience with Kalina Angel. And Kalina explores our soul's expansion through our human experiences on Earth.
And Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific is a new show called Disclosure Now, and that is with the Pied Piper and co-host Texas Rebel. That's a really cool show. It's going to be very controversial, but I think in a really good way, like in a really juicy way. So stay tuned for that.
Yep. And then starting in November, Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, we have The Resonance Intention, hosted by Soul and Neil Gower. And more info on that coming soon.
Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern is About Oneness with Karen Newman, and she focuses on celebrating the ongoing conscious awakening of our planet and our realization of oneness and unconditional love.
Mondays at 9:30 Eastern Time, we have Heart to Heart Talk Radio with Daniel Scranton. And join Daniel and his guests as he talks about topics such as the shift, ETs, global events, channeling, toning, and sound healing. And he always opens up the phone lines for callers, and they talk about anything and everything related to living on planet Earth and beyond.
So any opinions expressed on Soulfullpreneur Radio by us or our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. And just so you know, me and Megan are really into helping you create a business that you love based on who you really are, like your soul, your gifts, what you like to do in this lifetime and what you don't like to do, you can leave out. And we have a special for you that if you ever want to turn your gifts into a business, we're offering you $100 off the Soul-Centered Business Bootcamp when you use the code RADIO in the coupon area. And you can learn more about that at soul-centeredbusiness.com/invitation. And Megan is a website genius, and you can find out more about her at starboarddigital.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we did all our housekeeping.
Yeah, that's all our housekeeping.
I can put the broom away.
Yeah.
All right. So
you go for it.
Yeah, so you want to talk about, with our listeners here, those inner nudges, which is that feeling when, perhaps you're at a job currently and yet you want to do something different, and maybe you've been exploring different options, and maybe it's even taking you to the healing arts or something like that, and you kind of wonder, gee, could I actually, make a new career out of something? And I think lots of people have those nudges, Rachel, but that taking that first step, or even knowing what the first step is, like how do I get out of where I'm at and into something else, is challenging.
Oh, definitely. The good part is that the nudges don't normally go away, and so you'll probably have them forever if you don't do anything about it. That's the good part, because it's harder to lose yourself that way. But oftentimes when we're stopped because we think it's impossible. Like, okay, so great, I have this nudge to make more jewelry, or I have this nudge that, like, I'm a really good singer, but, I don't know what to do with it. Or if you're listening to the show, it's possible that you have the desire to raise the consciousness of humanity or to help people. I think that's really common. We all want to contribute, but it either feels really overwhelming and really big, or it feels so small that we think, why bother? Because when we have that nudge, we go from like 0 to 60, right? It's like, well, I could never make money doing that. And so we get discouraged and we just don't want to try anything. Or we just think it's so small that, we don't have time for it. It's not worth investing any energy into, right?
That's very true.
Yeah.
That urge sometimes to go from 0 to 60, maybe people who are not patient, maybe I'm one of them.
Yeah, maybe.
But, it's so much better when you have that nudge, or you want to try something new, or explore changing your career, to just take it slowly and step by step and have a bit of a strategy. Yeah.
I would probably even fight you on the strategy part, but that's just the difference between you and me. But I think definitely you have to start somewhere. So if you're having a nudge that you want to be a healer or a singer or a jewelry maker, and you want to, devote more time to that, just start doing it. Like, just start giving free sessions to friends, or making your friends jewelry and giving it as a birthday gift, or Do the thing that you're nudged to do, but don't have any expectations from it at first. Just do it and see what parts of it you like doing, what parts you don't like doing, because so often when we have these nudges, it's not just the pure nudge that we have, it's also tied with all of our preconceived notions about how you have to do something or who you have to be to do it, right? Like, I think that's the part that stops us in the beginning is, like, for instance, so I started out, my nudge was to really express my psychic gifts and go out and work with people. And so what I did was I started at one center, one metaphysical center. They had me come in on, I think, every other Saturday. They called it Psychic Saturdays. And I would just show up and people would walk in and do readings, and I would be there for a couple hours, and that's all it was. I had no control over who was coming or what they were going to ask me. And it was like my first step, my little getting my feet wet in the psychic world, in the psychic business world, I should say, because I'd always been psychic. But I learned a lot just from doing that. I didn't want that to be my career at the time. I didn't have any expectation about what was going to happen in the beginning. I was just trying it out, and I learned that I really didn't like that. I didn't like not knowing who was coming or, not knowing what they would ask me and not having any control over what kinds of information I was going to talk about. Like, I got really sick of people asking me, when were they going to find the love of their life? And I was more interested in helping people shape their future rather than just asking me what it was going to be. But I would never have known that if I didn't do that, So the getting your feet wet stage, not having any expectation, is all about figuring out what exactly you want to do, because the world of jewelry making and singing and being psychic is so vast that you kind of have to find what really lights you up about it.
Yeah, well, that's very true. That it is good to dive in and try in a true practical way, because we can read about different careers or have a little bit of a talent and think, oh, we want to do that for a living. But once you start doing it, it might not be quite what you want, and you don't want to invest a whole bunch of time or money into something that you don't love. I know for me with the web stuff, I was a software developer at the time, and in the early 90s, the web world started coming out, and so I was working for a small company, and I thought, gee, we should have a website for the product that I had developed for them, and so I built the site for them, and I really liked it. So it was kind of nice to experiment with that and learn about it, still keeping my day job. And then I realized I liked it. And then I did just what you were talking about earlier, is I started helping friends and family and tested the waters a little more that way. And then, it kind of progressed from there.
Exactly. And if you had decided that first kind of splash into helping your friends and family that you had to make a living from it, or it wouldn't work, or it was a waste of time, you never really would have done it, because you would have felt so much pressure probably.
Yeah, for sure. I did it as a slow migration. I was keeping the day job and doing the web stuff on the side. And then I started to charge a little bit of money for it, again, testing the waters, because I'm a believer with my type of work, building a portfolio is important. And sometimes you do that by doing work for barter or just low cost, just to get the experience and put it on your professional resume. So yeah. So building that up, and also just to keep practicing and keep learning and to keep seeing, like, do I like it?
Yeah, because a lot of people are going to find, they like working with certain kinds of people best. Or, like for you, I know you love working with more open kind of spiritual people, and you discovered that through working with a lot of people. There are certain people that aren't such a fit for you. And you know, talk about getting your feet wet and kind of experimenting and following your calling. You know, I'm sure you did that with your web design, but you're doing that a lot more now, right?
I am. I have so many different things that I'm doing now, because for me, my nudge to do something different didn't actually require, in the end, for me to just up and give up the web business that I've built for the last 10, 11 years, but to just kind of expand myself into some other areas, including teaching psychic development in Connecticut here to a group, an in-person group once a week. And that's proved to be a lot of fun. I love teaching. I love exploring with a class and really engaging with people one-on-one and having them bond as well. And I know I want to do more of that. So it's exciting. So for me, it's a side business, I think, or just a side job, but it's brought a lot of fulfillment to me.
Yeah, I would say that you're in your getting your feet wet stage with this part of your life now.
Yeah,
and really just seeing, like, you know, do I like teaching? Do I want to teach this? How do I want to teach it? Who do I want to teach it to? Like, this is really the stage where you're answering all those questions for yourself. Yes, and you know, it's hard to get going with that. I know I had some resistance to actually just a little
go to that first class, but once I did, I was like, okay, it's good. So I do think it helps to have somebody in your corner, a coach or a mentor or somebody to kind of help you with those hurdles, because some things are fairly easy. It's like, oh, okay, I can plan something for a business, plan a new product, but it's another thing to then really boldly put yourself out there.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics of this whole calling to career thing. And I just want to let you guys know that Megan is actually one of the featured guests in this upcoming interview series called From Calling to Career. And I'm the host of it. And I really talk to entrepreneurs who took that leap from, you know, feeling that nudge to share with the world to creating a business around it, whether they're at the getting their feet wet stage or they're successful and, you know, living off of it. All the advice that they give, no matter what stage they're at, will help you get there yourself. And I love listening to millionaires and billionaires, and I get so much inspiration from them. But when it comes to really doing it yourself, it is so much better to listen to people who are right ahead of you, you know, 1 or 2 steps, because they can actually give you the actual footprint of how to get there and what to look for in yourself. So if you're interested in listening to that interview series, it's free. Just go to the link that we have on our description page on Blog Talk Radio. And we'll also put the link on Facebook in a little bit, but just wanted to let you know that is coming up. It starts Friday, but you can listen to the interviews from last year with the same people right now. So if you go sign up, you can catch yourself up. Okay, so yeah, getting back to what you were saying about how it can be really scary to start doing this stuff, like to start, you know, going out in the world and trying things out. Like for me, trying out being a psychic with, you know, in a center, for you, trying out being a teacher. Because you have to be a new person to do it. You can't be the same person you were, because the same person you were wasn't going out on a limb and following their intuition. So we're really different people all the time. And whenever we're trying something new, we're a totally different person. And that's really uncomfortable normally, right? Like here we are bringing more soul energy into our lives. And of course that's rippling out. It's touching all the people that we talk to, all the people we're in contact with, every habit and thing we do during the day. We're infusing new and more lively energy with it, and it's shaking us. It's like shaking all the crap out of us. It's like, you know, energetically, we have to be a bigger person, and we're not used to it. And I still go through stages like that. I'm in one right now. So I know that it can be really difficult to bring yourself to that next level if you don't have someone there kind of helping you to see that you're ready.
Yeah. Well, I think people do all sorts of different stuff to kind of shake the dust off when they're truly ready. And you mentioned, being a different person, and I get what you're saying by that, but you also have to be totally yourself. And I'll give the example of I joined a gym 3 or 4 years ago now, and started taking a group weightlifting class, and then a spinning class, an indoor cycling class, and really liked it. And after a while, I thought, I'd love to maybe get certified and teach the indoor cycling, because I liked it that much. But I thought, well, who am I to get up in front of the class? And I was like, well, who am I not to? So I went ahead and I got certified, and I started planning my first class. And I definitely was trying to choose music that was similar to the classes I've already taken. And I realized, wait, that's not me. That's not who I am. That person's style, even though I like her class, that's perhaps not how I would do it as me. So I was definitely being a new person in that I was being brave to get up in front of a class of gym rats and teach. But then I had to be just me and plan the class how I would, enjoy it, and with the music I chose. And it worked out great. It worked out super good. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And by being a new person, I just meant, a different version of yourself. Like, normally, as we grow up and as we evolve and as we do things that are more to our own liking, we're getting rid of a lot of the influences that other people have put on us. Like, we're all taught how to be and what to believe in, and, how to fix our hair and what to wear. And as we invite more soul energy into us, and as you get more brave and as you follow your nudges, you're letting go of all those outside influences, and so you are more yourself, and you are a different version. So I always put that hand in hand. But thanks for bringing that up, because I don't want it to sound like you have to be someone else. You're actually just being more of yourself. And that's what's causing the big ripple in your life, because you're letting go of all those other preconceived notions like, oh, you can't do that, or who are you to do that? Those aren't your voices in your head. Those are other people's voices.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. There's a lot of power in all of us, I think, but we're so used to suppressing it, or doing what we're told, or doing what others expect of us, or what we were told when we were young, that it's hard to unearth some of that power. But when you do, it's totally fun.
Mhm. And you got a lot of compliments on that class, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. So, yep. I just teach occasionally. I sub, and it's a creative outlet too, which I think for me that was one of my big nudges. When I started going through all my shifting and growing up again, was to do more creative stuff. The web is a creative outlet, but there's also a lot of technical aspects to it, and a lot of restrictions, and staying within the lines and so forth. So finding stuff to be more creative definitely is what started boosting my energy.
Yeah. And I want to bring up another point about this whole getting your feet wet stage, and I know we can both talk about it. This whole idea that, once you start living your purpose or following your nudges or whatever you want to call it, that everything is going to be awesome. And whether you're in your getting your feet wet stage or in the pro stage, where you've gotten brave and you've, gone out there and made this your whole thing, you're always going to get feedback of what to do next and what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And we all know that we're in our own little holograms here, so it's not like we're ever a victim of anything, but we're like changing so fast these days, and we are experiencing so much, and we're growing out of ourselves so quickly. Like we're shedding cocoons like every month. And I know we're all kind of feeling that. It's like, some days we'll be a little depressed, some days we'll be restless, some days we'll be really excited and happy, and everything's really moving. And so a lot of times we'll have these feelings of restlessness or moodiness, and we're wondering, what am I doing wrong? I thought I was following my passion. Where did it go? And I think it's all just helping us to refine who we are and what we are, because our blind spots are illuminating themselves. We keep knowing ourselves to be deeper and, more resourceful and bigger than we ever thought possible. And we're being challenged to kind of live into that and really feel out who we are. At least that's how I see it. Right now I'm going through one of those where I've got these ideas that I really want to make happen, but I have so much else going on. And I just made a video on it. I haven't released it yet, but it's about is it insecurity or inspiration? Do I have these big ideas because I'm insecure about where I am right now and who I am right now? Or do I really want to go forward with these big ideas, and have I outgrown what I'm doing now? It's never a truly, I was going to say easy path, but I think that's just because I've chosen to always try to look deeper into myself and be more of who I am. And doing that requires me to release a lot of stuff all the time. I don't know. Does that make sense? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Can't wait to see your next video.
Yeah.
Always post. Well, that question of, is it an insecurity or is it your next big step? And only you'll be able to answer that. And it sounds like you need to get your feet wet, Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
with the next thing you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, one of those true nudges, it doesn't go away. And we all have fleeting ideas, and I should open a bakery, or I should do whatever, but then you never really follow through, and you also don't really feel bad about it, and so that's when it's just perhaps just a fun idea and it's passing. But I think it's when those nudges continue, or when you're in a job that you dislike and you continue to really dislike it, and it's like your higher self is telling you, look, you're not quite where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so just take that first step. So for you, I'm not sure what that first step will be, but just trying out what's the next hat you want to put on.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so true about the nudges never going away. They're so present,
They are. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about the getting your feet wet stage and how it can, it's not necessarily all uphill. You can go through a lot of refining and feedback moves, as you get to know what you like and what you don't like to do. But then there normally comes a time when, and you can talk about this, Megan, I'm sure you had this when you created your company, of when you decide, okay, this is it, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to make my living from, I'm going to do it. And I remember that in me really clearly. I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to make a living, and I'm going to go for it. And that decision really changes everything, because then you're no longer dabbling. It's no longer a hobby. You actually decided that's where you want your income to come from. And, if you're living with someone else and you both have jobs, you can decide how much money you want to make from it, but it's really taking it from, a hobby to a business, no matter what amount of money you're making, even if it's small. And that really kind of changes the game and how you see yourself and what you do. So do you have a moment like that, Megan, where you made that decision?
Oh, I definitely did. And I had to cut ties with the small company I was working with in order to have more time to do the web stuff. And I wasn't so happy with the work I was doing. there anyway, and I just felt like it was my turn to own a small business. I had, been with this company for 10 years and learned quite a bit about running a small business, but there came that day where I had to have my last day at that job and switch over and get my own computer equipment because I had stuff from the other business, and then to really put myself out there and start to do some networking to get my own clients. And so, there was definitely a last day at one job and next day at the other, and it put some skin in the game, right? Because now I had to do it. I had to get out there, and it's wonderful sometimes to have that need, or you can be a hobbyist forever.
Mhm.
But if the nudges are still there, eventually it's very satisfying to just go ahead and try it, and to not worry so much about failure, because why are you assuming you can't handle a bump in the road? You can. You definitely can. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I'd never asked you that before.
Yeah, it was, I still remember because it was kind of the end of 2003 going into 2004. And I had, at that point, a client or two paying clients and a lead for another. And so I didn't just up and quit one job and had nothing. I definitely had the business semi-started on the side.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's no wrong, there's nothing wrong with having a hobby either for life. You don't ever have to turn it into a career or your own business. But you'll know if that's what you need to do by the nudge. The nudge won't let you rest if it's really supposed to be something bigger.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of you watch Shark Tank, but there's a woman in there called Barbara Corcoran. She's a shark. And she's so inspirational because she's really just like us. She had an idea. Actually, her boyfriend gave her the idea of being in real estate, and they started a company together. But then soon after, he actually cheated on her, and they split the company. And so he told her that she would never succeed without him. And that's kind of what gave her the power, I guess, to dig deep within herself to make sure that she was a success. But she got to the top really just by being inventive and creative and trying things when it looked like, no one else was going to come to her and use her services. Like, she has almost failed so many times, and she really believes that what makes you an entrepreneur and what makes you successful is your ability to be resilient and your ability to not settle for failure. And it's so true. Back when I was just doing this as a hobby, I didn't care if I had no clients. I didn't care if, nobody called me for 2 months. If only 3 people came to one of my classes, I was okay with it. It didn't matter to me. But when I decided to really make a go of it, I was asking myself different questions. I was like, okay, so if only 3 people signed up, how can I promote better? Or how can I reach more people? Or how can I change my title to make it seem not so scary? Because sometimes psychic development can be a scary word. And it was just a whole different attitude, and it was livelier and more interactive, and I was playing a much bigger part in my life. Instead of really just being passive and seeing who came to me, I was getting really excited by, figuring things out and making a website and, doing more to promote myself. And I was really growing into a whole new person and overcoming the things that I thought about myself, and, that I could never be in business, or I wasn't a business person. And it was really fun, Again, it was not always peachy. I was having my own struggles and doubts and worries and not knowing how to do things, but it was such an amazing roller coaster that I still love doing it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Yeah. Well, so the no fear of if something doesn't go right, okay, promote it a different way. I think when you're working from the heart and you feel excited about whatever it is you want to do for your business, and it's not just something that looks good on paper, but you really feel it, then I think the try again isn't so hard. And I think that's what's important. I know that's a big thing that I learned from you when we were doing some coaching together is to learn to find what it is you want to do that's authentic and not just what you were told to do. So important, because when you're excited, just try it a different way. Brush yourself off. Get on the horse.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's why the getting your feet wet stage and deciding what you actually like to do and what works for you is so important. Mm-hmm. Because if you go into business without knowing what you like and what you want, it's like impossible to succeed. You know, and I think that's a big reason why so many new businesses fail, because they don't have a really good foundation in who they are, what they're capable of, what their strengths are, and what they like to do. Because when you start a business, you better like what you're doing, because you're going to do a lot of it, right?
Right.
No sleep in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you would like to talk to us or ask a question about turning those nudges into something more, you can call us at 347-308-8788. And if you want to ask a question and you're on the phone, just press 1 so that we know you're not just listening in, and we'll pick you up. Awesome. And we do have someone on the phone right now, but I don't know if they're wanting to ask a question or not, so I'll wait for that, Megan. But
okay.
Yeah, I love business, and I never, ever, ever thought I would. Even though I was one of those kids who always had a lemonade stand and was always making jewelry and selling it. And I think my biggest, I don't know how I did this, honestly, but one year I noticed after Valentine's Day that the liners in the top, you know, those little like foam kind of like plastic liners in the top of the chocolate box?
Yeah.
They still smelled like chocolate even after the chocolates were gone. And so I was like, wow, I could sell this. It smells like chocolate. So I did. I sold them for 50 cents to my parents and my grandpa. And I just remember, like, I felt kind of weird about it because I was like, wow, people will really buy this. But I was so into it, you know. It's like I found value in that.
Well, who doesn't love the smell of chocolate?
I know. Yeah, so I guess I was always an entrepreneur, and I was in denial of it half my life.
Yeah, I was too, because even though I did work for a company when I was living in Minnesota, I got into jewelry making for a while, and then a friend's like, oh, I'm doing a craft and toy fair. You should come and sell your jewelry. So, of course, I did that, and I sold some stuff and made some custom jewelry, and then I, for a while, was doing even some catering type work for local families here in Connecticut, and set up a little website with all these different meals they could order. And, you know, anything I love doing, I love turning it into a business. But then you get a little older and some things feel like kind of a lot of work and it isn't as much fun. You know, maybe like I love to cook, but I don't really want to cook morning, noon, and night. So, yeah, had to be careful not to turn that hobby into the wrong business.
Yeah, you know, and that's, so a big thing that I see, and you guys, I have a lot of clients who are going through these things, so I can pick up on some general themes. And a lot of times people will want to create a business, they want to work for themselves, they want that freedom and money. And then they'll think to themselves, what do I have that's a marketable skill? And I was talking to this really brilliant person yesterday who's, I mean, just so amazing at sales and marketing. And she was wanting to create a business on that. And the thing is, though, is she's been wanting to create that business for a couple of years now and really hasn't done it. And this person is so capable that if she wanted to, I mean, it could be up and running in a day. And what I was feeling for her is that that's not really where her soul wanted to be. Her soul wants to be more in the forefront. She's more of like a personality and more of a general inspirer instead of a sales and marketing person. And so when we go to create these businesses, when we have that nudge, it's easy to use your head to think, what can I do to make money? It's harder to just ask yourself, what does my soul really want to express? But that, honestly, is where your money is going to come from. We create money. We were just talking about this on our Busting Loose from the Money Game show. There's no money out there. There's no people out there. There's no business out there. It's all being created within us and for our own enjoyment. And so just do what your soul wants to do. Do what that nudge really is about. If it's just about talking about your life and your decision making, do that, and then the money will come. If it is about talking about sales and marketing, then do that. Or if it really is about, being psychic and living the psychic lifestyle, which is what I love, then do that. There's no out there. It's all created within you. And you just kind of follow each clue one step at a time. You're always led, If you have no idea how that idea is going to get monetized, but you want to do it anyway, then go for it. And down the road, people will ask you to create a product for them, or you'll get an idea for what product to create or what service to provide. You kind of just have to go with the flow on that, because when your soul is leading you, you're never going to be left behind,
Yeah, that's true. What do you think? So Analytical Megan has a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
And you even mentioned Shark Tank earlier, and I was thinking, I have seen a few episodes of that, not too many, but some ideas people come up with, and you look at it, you're like, I don't know if anyone really needs that, or so that gets tricky, because if somebody's going on that show like Shark Tank, they're feeling pretty passionate about whatever it is they create, and then they present it to those three sharks, and they kind of shoot them down and tell them it's not a good idea. What do you think about that? How does that fit into the whole world of we're creating our own reality, and yet we take outside, input, and people shoot us down, and,
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, because, again, we look outside of us a lot of times to, get permission to do our own thing.
Yeah.
And it's really all a personal journey. So I read this book called, I think it's called Mommy Millionaire, and it was really good. And it was about a woman who created microwavable, neck warmer, right? So there were, buckwheat hulls in it, and she sewed it into one of those, into the shape of an airplane pillow, the neck pillows.
Mm-hmm.
And you could warm it up in the microwave, and she used to sell them at hockey games and to her neighbors, and then to the school, school fundraiser kind of thing. And she thought it was a great idea. People loved it. But you'd think you could never, ever be a millionaire selling that, right? She sewed it herself.
Right.
It was just,
right.
Yeah, how could that make you a millionaire? It's a craft project. But she did. And you know how she did it? She really believed in it, and that was really what was driving her. She flew all over the country demoing them in stores and talking to venture capitalists and getting rejected and keep getting up and going back to meetings and learning all she had to do and bringing her kids to meetings with her accountant, and getting the free consultations because she couldn't afford to pay anybody in the beginning. And it was a total mess. And nobody would give her funding. Nobody would help her out. But she just kept doing it. And eventually she won people over, and they backed her, and she went on to make millions of dollars. If you have it within you to succeed, you will. Yeah. But if you don't, and if you follow your head instead of your heart, even the best product won't get anywhere. Even if it's something that everybody says they would love, energetically you won't get that support if you're not supposed to. Like our higher self is the one in charge of all that outside stuff. So if it's not really your path to succeed, then you won't. But, it's really all about us. And if we want to succeed, then we'll do what it takes to release the programming and the beliefs that say we can't. Mm-hmm. We're in control of that. Our higher self creates it. But if we have blocks, we won't get anywhere. If we dig deep enough and do enough to release those blocks, then we will get there. Does that make sense? I know it's a little vague, but, we're really in control.
Yeah, we are. So when we observe somebody else's idea and we think it looks silly or will never sell, what do you think that is? Is that just us being doubtful, or, is there a practical side? Like, is there truly supply and demand out there for new businesses?
No, I would say definitely not. I don't think there's any kind of rule like that.
No.
Not really. I mean, just look around you. Just look at the food industry. We're being fed stuff that's laden with MSG and salt and fat, and it's not even food, but yet millions and millions and millions of people buy it every day.
That's true.
It's you can make money off of anything, and you can not make money off of anything. It really just depends on your own soul path.
So, wow. Well, that's awesome. That's good advice. And that book sounds interesting, The Mommy Millionaire.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah, that sounds
really good. And it just shows you how much work is involved, in doing something like that. If you want it to be, she chose that path. Not everyone's going to have to work as hard as she did. Yeah, we're all on our own journey. And I just think that that's really cool. What if, I know a lot of people who, if they have 5 clients a year, that's enough to pay all their bills because maybe they charge them $25,000 each, That's it. So 5 clients. Can you find 5 people on this planet that want to work with you in a year? And I think almost everybody alive could say yes. If that's what they wanted to do, if they wanted to have a high-end client business, then you could do it. I'm not one of those people at this point. I don't want to work with just 5 people, but if that's what I wanted to do, then I have all the confidence in the world that that's, that I could do it. It's really not about money. It's really about having the guts to really be who you are. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. So, but you got to get started, right? And you got to have some inspired action. So you got to listen to those nudges.
Yeah.
Get your feet wet and start trying stuff out, and then see what sticks and just keep following the path. Because, for me, when I really look back at from where I am today versus 5-6 years ago, it started with wanting to get over a bit of a fear of public speaking, and I had started to do some networking for my business. I was a few years into the business and realized I need to get out there and meet more people and get in front of a room. And it was hard to stand up in front of a room with 40, 50 professionals and introduce myself and say who I was and what I do and sound confident. So I did Toastmasters for a while, which is an international kind of group, and there's chapters all over the United States. Almost every small town has a Toastmasters chapter, and they just help you work on public speaking. And now I think, gosh, I use it in so many places when I teach a spin class or my psychic development class or on the radio or networking in person. But so it's kind of getting some of those skills that you need to go into business. You find them in different areas too as you start getting your feet wet and walking those steps. Yeah,
and you see how perfect that was? Before you even knew that would help you in your career that wasn't around yet, you were already being guided to do the thing that would support you.
Yeah. For sure. And it was listening to my intuition and realizing and tackling a fear, honestly, face on. Like, what is it? People would rather be in the coffin than give the eulogy at a funeral. The majority of people in this country don't want to get up and talk, and so tackling that fear. So I think when you start to get those nudges, definitely your soul is speaking to you, and some of those fears come up to greet you once again, and it feels good to get them off the table.
Yeah, it's just we're growing through this. We're expanding our own view of ourselves. We're realizing that we're more than we thought we were. We're more capable. It's like this path of spirituality merged with business. It's about liberation and evolution and freedom, and it's like I could not imagine living my life to work for someone else, having to get up in the morning and get dressed and rush and go off to work and do something to enhance somebody else's dream instead of my own. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with being an employee. I'm not saying that. That's definitely for some people. But I always knew that I'd have to work for myself, and I just could not imagine not working for myself. Yeah, and we all find that. We'll all be on our own journey, but doing what's right for you, it's going to make you feel really good.
Yeah.
I just saw on Facebook that Daniel Scranton is listening, and shout out to Daniel Scranton. He's moving
Hi, Daniel.
to Hawaii soon. And also, he's in the interview series too. So if you go to that link, I just put it on Facebook on the Soulfullpreneur page, and if you look at the description of this episode on Blog Talk Radio, you can join us there. I'm in it. Daniel's in it. Some other great soulful entrepreneurs are in it, as well as Megan. So if you want to learn how to take these steps and getting your feet wet and getting out there and making big dreams happen, then totally listen. I interview these people, and I'm so inspired by all of them. They totally light me up, and I love being part of their dreams too. And I don't know, this is just so cool because we're really talking about, living life for you. What are you doing to create your own life instead of just letting life happen? Like, isn't that just amazing that people can do that and we can take control of that?
Yeah, living life more intentionally.
Yeah.
Instead of just going through the motions. And, it's something that I'm doing, and for me, and we'll talk about it. I love that you have this interview series, the Telesummit, but then you're following up with these people like 6 months later to hear, what they're doing now and how things have changed. Because I think a lot of us, we're morphing all the time if we allow ourselves to. So, in our interview, Rachel, we'll talk about that and just how, now I teach the psychic development on the side and the spinning classes, and I'm doing painting and photography, and it's like all these fun outlets. And who knows in another 6 months what I'll be doing, right? Maybe I'll have a photography show somewhere.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I know. Yeah, so this is how the interview series worked. A year ago, I interviewed all these people, and we did a really in-depth thing about how they came to where they are now. And now that it's a year later, I re-interviewed them, and I got a kind of a yearly update. So where are they now? What have they changed in their business? How far have they come? They've all grown, and they give us that tip of, like, what action did you take? How did you know what to do? What has worked for you? What has not? So that we can all benefit from their growth and their own journey. And we have people who just got their first office, and that was their big growth. And we have people who are planning on creating like a treehouse school for homeschoolers. I mean, really, really big visions and like really simple little step visions, and they're all really important because we need those big visions, but we also need that, one foot in front of the other kind of thing to keep ourselves moving. So I loved it. I'm going to re-listen to them all the time because they're awesome.
right. Gosh, and I can't believe it's been a year.
I know.
I didn't even realize.
Yep.
See,
yep.
time is flying.
They're like, holy cow, I can't believe I've done all that in a year.
Yeah. Because every day doesn't, at the end of the day, you don't feel like, oh, something huge happened. But when you look back, you're like, wow, some big things did happen over time. And reflecting back is good.
I think that's something that as a culture we kind of need to do more of, celebrating every single day and what we've done and how far we've come,
yeah, it's kind of too bad that we use like New Year's Day for all these resolutions of what we're going to do instead of perhaps like looking back and saying, well, here I am 1 year later. What did I do this year that was different or new? Mm-hmm. And that would be more fun. Maybe we'll do a radio show on that.
Yeah.
At the end of the year of celebrating everybody's accomplishments instead of the constant to-do list. It's like, gee, pat yourself on the back a little bit once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I would definitely want to do with the interview series too. Just invite everybody else who's listening or watching to see what they've done over the last year. How far have they come?
Yeah,
I love it.
It's a wake-up call if maybe you haven't changed something you would like to. It's never too late to try something new.
Yeah. So if you are on the phones and you want to ask a question, you can press 1. But gosh, I cannot believe this hour has gone by so fast.
It has.
Holy crap.
It's about
yeah.
fun.
If you want to listen to the interview series, again, go to the description on the blog, on the Facebook page. Wow. I am tongue-tying myself up.
I'll also put it on Soulfullpreneur.com.
Okay, yeah, so you get the idea, folks. Join us, and we'll be on iTunes any day now, so you can subscribe to us there. But my goodness, I can't believe we have to say goodbye already and do our announcements.
I know. We have a lot to talk about, and it was just the first step on those inner nudges. Can you imagine how much more there is?
I know. Yeah. Well, if this topic interests you, maybe you should check out the Soul-Centered Business Bootcamp because we bring you through all the steps, finding out what your soul wants to express, all the way up to promoting your first launch and getting clients. So check that out. Use the code RADIO to get $100 off, and you can go to the link soul-centeredbusiness.com/invitation, and you'll get to see a cute little video I made about climbing a mountain, and I'm very cold in it, so go check that out.
Yeah, you're not cold anymore now that you're in Phoenix.
I know, now my mountains are like 100 degrees. So.
Now it's too hot for you to climb.
I know. Yeah, I went hiking last weekend, and my boyfriend and I, we took a nap for the whole rest of the day because it wore us out so much.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Oh, you're getting into the prime time, though. You're getting into the beautiful weather.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah. It's 86 right now. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Ah, that sounds great.
Mhm.
Great. So, all right. Well, just to wrap things up, we're part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network, and we have a whole team of people doing radio shows every day of the week. And tonight, we have another show on our network, and it's at 9 p.m. Eastern with Victoria Vives-Wong, and she hosts Earth Sky People, your bridge between heaven and earth.
And Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern is the Enlightenment Evolution Hour with Rob Gauthier. He's the creator of this network, and he channels a being called Treb, and he takes questions and has amazing guests. And you can find out more about Rob on the Facebook page for the Enlightenment Evolution Network or on trebchanneling.com.
Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have Philip Malika's Consciousness Evolution Hour, and he discusses a wide range of metaphysical topics from the perspective of the fifth dimension. And you can find more about him on his Facebook group by searching Consciousness Evolution 2.0.
And Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern is the Earth Experience with Kalina Angel, and she explores our soul's expansion through our human experiences on Earth.
And Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific, so that's 6 p.m. Eastern, we have a brand new show that started last week on Saturday called Disclosure Now, and it's with the Pied Piper and Texas Rebel.
Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern, we have the Resonance Intention, hosted by Soul and Neil Gar, and that starts on November 2nd.
And Sundays at 2 p.m., we have About Eastern. We have About Oneness with Karen Newman, and she focuses on celebrating the ongoing conscious awakening of our planet and our realization of oneness and unconditional love.
And last but not least, on Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, we have Heart to Heart Talk Radio with Daniel Scranton. And Daniel talks about global events, the shift, ETs, energy work, toning and sound healing, manifestation, and all things metaphysical. And he's got great guests on all the time. And, you know, Daniel's got a great newsletter. If you go to danielscranton.com, sign up, you'll find out about all his new guests and shows, but also get a daily channeling, which is really great.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And any opinions expressed on Soulfullpreneur Radio by us or our guests does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. So
yep,
there we go.
Because we're all pretty freaky on here.
We're all just independent free spirits.
Yeah. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like we have meetings and we're told what to do every week. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's complete freedom. It's yep. Look what we created, Megan. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. Thank you.
And thank you for listening. We really love you. Feel free to call in on any of our shows or comment on Facebook or soulfullpreneur.com. You're really part of our, reason for doing this. So any feedback or comments are very welcome.
Yeah, ideas for upcoming shows. Let us know if there's a topic you want us to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be on our show, you can visit soulfullpreneur.com, and we have a link for Be Our Guest, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself and if you've written a book or just whatever, and maybe you can be on as a guest.
Yeah.
Super. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thanks, Megan.
Well, thank you, Rachel, and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah. All right. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.